Uma Musume has taken over the anime community since its global release back in June. Since that release, many fans have taken the time to watch the anime released alongside the game, and the recently released series Cinderella Grey might have raised the bar for sports anime. The animation is flawless, the emotion of the races is shown perfectly, and the character interactions are priceless. But this wasn't the first anime series based on the multi-billion-dollar franchise, so how did we get to this point? Back in 2018, Uma Musume Pretty Derby was released with Season 1 of the anime. The game had yet to come out, but it still gained massive popularity in Japan due to the popularity of horse racing. The series did not make a splash in the West, however, due to what I'm assuming to be the odd concept and the fact that the big anime boom had yet to occur. However, I would like to mention that when I was in Japan during 2018, I saw advertisements for the TV series and actually watched it, so I would say I'm a day one fan. Anywho, 2 more seasons would later be released, with Season 2 being the highest rated out of the 3, which in my opinion is understandable. Tokai Teo's story of falling due to 3 injuries and still making it back to win the Arima Kinen was beautifully done, and actually brought a tear to my eye. Season 3 followed with Kita-san Black and her Hall of Fame career, which was charming yet not as well done as Season 2. Season 1 was a bit of an outlier, and though a great watch, the series was different than any of the others as it played more into the idol aspect and the character interactions rather than the races. Season 2 and 3 focus more on the races compared to the other important plot points of the eventual game. One thing worth mentioning is that the horse girls in the game are based on real-life horses that raced in Japan. At this point, I feel like everybody knows this fact, but it is still worth a mention. Every race that occurs in the anime series happened at some point in the real horse's life, and all the storylines are based on that, which is just an interesting concept, and actually brought a lot of eyes onto Japanese horse racing. With the conclusion of Season 3 of the mainline anime, Cygames decided, hey, we made a lot of money, why not do something with it? So they created Cygames Pictures, which is an in-house anime studio to adapt their IPs into anime. The mainline series was animated by PA Works, which was just Season 1, and Studio Kai, who is actually working on Sentenced to be a Hero, which is currently airing this January, and I do recommend giving the first episode a watch. Since establishing the studio, Cygames has released an OVA series, 2 movies, and an anime series. The OVA, Road to the Top, was eventually turned into a movie, so that counts towards both releases. The other movie, Beginning of a New Era, gained global popularity due to the animation quality, which is actually just still insane to watch. And finally, within the past year, we have been graced with an anime adaptation of the manga Cinderella Grey, which follows the story of Oguri Cap, and just so happens to be my favorite Uma, and her journey from the local tracks to the national stage. This anime has single-handedly changed the game for sports anime, and made its mark not only on the Uma Musume community, but the anime community as well. The series done by Cygames Animation Studio have stood out for their entrancing storylines and fantastic animation, but these series do one thing well that puts them at the top of sports anime. The races are beautifully done, with the characters acting on their strategies and their thoughts being shown throughout. The animation of the races is top-notch and gets you on the edge of your seat every time. The build-up to each race really adds to the stakes, and the character interactions add to this. Oguri Cap wants so badly to defeat her rival, and that dynamic is shown so well that you choose a side and pray for their victory. Of course, who wins is foretold on the Wikipedia, but don't spoil yourself. Cinderella Grey uses the character interactions in such a way that it excites you for the race. The race is like the final boss battle, and everything leading up to it is preparation. In other sports anime, there is typically a tournament where it's either the senpai's last chance to win, but for our main characters, there's always next year. That isn't true for our Umas. Each race matters like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and you feel that way. Every race is a chance to defeat the rival and gain the glory of winning a Grade 1 race. One trope I personally think also helps with this is the zone. It may be a bit cliche, as there is some sort of zone in other sports anime, such as Kuroko no Basket. But there's a reason that it just works so well in sports anime. The zone is just like a flow state, where our characters basically break free of their mortal shackles and basically just focus on winning the race or the game they are playing. The animation that comes along with the zone is also just fantastic, and is meant to show you how much they just want to win. There are a few scenes I would like to touch on, but the one that sticks out the most to me occurs during the Japan Cup, more specifically the final stretch. One thing that this series does is stretch out the time it actually takes for the final spurt to occur, with inner monologues and strategizing, which is common in sports anime. However, though the runtime may be longer, it genuinely feels like the normal time. Maybe because it's so entertaining? Who knows? Anyways, the battle between Tamamo Cross and Obey Your Master during this stretch is shown as a bit of a back and forth, with not one of them wanting to give up their lead. Did I mention that both were in the zone at this time? Tamamo has lightning coming out of her eyes, and Obey Your Master has like this galaxy pattern. Not exactly sure where they came up with that, but I think it works very well. Obey Your Master has a bit of an inner monologue, and then takes a risky move on the inside, shocking the crowd. The play-by-play by the crowd, in my opinion, is unnecessary, but it does give insight into the rules of horse racing, so that's pretty cool. When you think it's just the two of them battling it out, Oguri Cap rises from the ashes and soars into third place, trying to make a move to grab victory. The series does a great job of showing how Oguri is so close to breaking into the zone, but can't quite make it yet. Oguri was also basically a non-factor in this race until the end, and the series does a great job showing how she still ends up being a non-factor, only giving her about 1 minute of screen time towards the end of the race. This shows the audience her feeling of helplessness, but being so close to breaking through. It's fair to say that the Uma Musume anime series has been incredibly entertaining, and along with the game, you can spend hours immersed in the world of racing horse girls. I can't wait to see the series continue with more intense races and emotional moments. All I know now is that I'm invested in real-life horse racing, and not just because there's a horse named Brant that has a chance to run in the Kentucky Derby, which is one of the biggest horse racing events in America, which I do plan to attend. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.